folks, today I'm going to go through my gear list that I took on a recent trip on the Overland Track in Tasmania. For those of you who don't know, the Overland Track is an end-to-end hike. It's in subalpine conditions in Tasmania. There's lots of infrastructure on the track and good high water availability. I went in the summer and I planned around a 6-night and 7-day itinerary. On day one, my backpack was 13 kilos exactly on the scale. That did include a few creature comforts in the way of food particularly, so some fresh greens, fresh coffee, shortbread biscuits, and also a hip flask of whiskey. I am not an ultralight hiker. There are some great resources out there if you're interested in researching into that. However, I do borrow pretty heavily from the American through hiking techniques, and it's not something that I commonly saw while I was out there on the track, so it is a little bit different to the traditional Australian bushwalking protocols, but I think it can be very easily adapted to Australian conditions. I certainly felt very well equipped, very well prepared while I was out there, and so I'm just going to go ahead and share the things that I took. So starting off with what I wore, firstly I did have just one hiking pole. I found that totally adequate. I also chose as footwear a high volume trail runner with a rock plate. The only thing is that these are not waterproof, but they do dry out nice and quickly. I paired these just with some merino synthetic blend ankle socks. I didn't have any issues with blisters. And also just a pair of lycra ankle gaiters that were excellent for keeping dirt and grit out of my shoes and also stop my shoelaces from coming undone all of the time. I personally did not miss in any way having knee-high gaiters for this trip. As far as underwear, I took ExOfficio briefs, which are really nice and light. They're very odor resistant, they're very durable, and they rinse out and dry nice and easily and quickly as well. And then a merino racerback bra. I chose to wear a dress on this trip. This is pretty much the only walking outfit that I took with me. It is a technical garment, so it is made out of a fast wicking fabric. Great for ventilation. For women, offers a little bit more modesty with toileting in the wilderness. It's also really great for getting changed under in a shared space. You may have noticed that it is sleeveless. So I also had these sun sleeves. This is actually a shrug that also covers the shoulders, just to wear on those days when the UV index was a bit higher. To go with that, I also had a UPF buff, a really great multi-purpose piece of clothing, and then my hat as well, which has definitely seen better days. Lastly, I had my mid-layer, and in this case it's just a merino hoodie jumper. Because my sleeping bag doesn't have a hood on it, which you'll see later, this was also a great backup pajama top to have as well, so that I could put something over my head if that's what I wanted to do. I carried a hip pack. I just used that for items that I wanted to get to quickly and easily. So I just had a little mini travel refillable bottle of hand sanitizer, some good old cherry chapstick. I had just some silicone earplugs in that little container there. and a pair of sport headphones and a whistle. Also had my wallet. It's just a generic zip top coin purse, and sunglasses, again just a generic pair. Also had a pen and my Opinel folding knife. Again, one of those things that's seen better days. Usually also I would keep my phone in here. I'm using that to film today, so I also have just a snap-lock bag in here which I would use for waterproofing my phone if it was needed. And then also I keep a locator beacon on the waist strap of this pack as well. It's just nice and easy to access there, and it's also really visible, so if anybody ever needed to access that on my behalf, that's right there. With my backpack, this is a 50-litre pack. I think that 50-litre includes the outside pockets as well, so internal space probably closer to 45. Let's start with what I keep on the outside. So this pack has these handy shoulder strap pockets. So in here I have, again, that's just a little travel spray container of saline solution, which is really helpful for leech removal, and a mini sunscreen, which is all I needed for this trip. Also have bug repellent, and just lastly a little mini Body Glide anti-chafe balm. On the sides here, I keep my tent poles. I just flip the bag upside down just to stop water or runoff getting in there. And also my camp shoes. I do prefer a sandal that I can wear socks underneath because obviously I'm a highly fashionable person. The other side, I have this 700ml plastic water bottle. I have this stuffable day pack. There are a lot of side trips on the Overland, which is where this day pack really comes in handy. It's also very useful for taking things back and forth between your campsite and the hut when you're socialising or cooking in the evening. And then also I just have my pack rain cover as well. It just helps rainwater stop absorbing into the pack fabric. You can get dedicated pea cloths these days. I choose to use instead just a hanky on a carabiner. UV light will both deodorize and disinfect a pea rag when it's hung on the back of your pack like this. And then in the outside pocket, I have just an inexpensive foam sit pad, and that's just great for if you're sitting down on damp ground. It also makes a really good doormat to your tent, and it's good for kneeling on while doing chores. I also have my tent stakes in this outside front pocket, and basically these are just the tent stakes that come standard with my tent, and I also have a couple of spares in there as well. This outside front pocket, it's generally where I also keep my food and snacks for the day. This bottom pocket, I keep rain gear and layers in. So I have my rain jacket, and then I have my beanie, and also just a pair of merino liner gloves. And then right on the side here, I also have my rain pants, which are really great for protecting from cold weather and cold wind, etc. as well. The fabric on my dress is actually thin and light enough for me to just be able to tuck into these no problem. Getting inside the pack, I keep my tent inner and the footprint inside the tent stuff sack that it comes with. But then I keep the fly separately just in this plain kitchen tidy plastic bag liner. It makes it a little bit easier to pack my tent if it's in two separate pieces. And also, if your tent fly is wet in the morning, it's actually really nice to be able to pack it separately rather than putting it in with everything else and everything getting saturated. This is my first aid kit. I am not going to unpack this and go through every little thing in my first aid kit today. I will drop a list here or here maybe. Needless to say, it's just in a dry bag, and I have used a Sharpie to draw a cross on the outside so you can see that that is my first aid kit. I also have in here a 1 litre water bladder. I use that for drinking water while I'm on the move, and then I use the plastic water bottle for drinking out of when I'm taking a break. This is my poop kit. It is just in a dry bag that I've scavenged from another piece of kit. In here, I think you'll find the usual standard stuff. So that is obviously a Snaplock bag of toilet paper. I have some hand sanitizer in here, and I have, I think, the same titanium trowel that everybody has. I chose to get mine in red so I can go faster. And I also use this small silicone bottle as a bidet, just for hygiene reasons. I think you probably know what a bidet is. I have my cook kit in here. So I use a gas canister stove, so that is my gas canister. I do put some importance on having a good fresh coffee in the morning, so rather than bring instant coffee or coffee bags, I have this very lightweight filter, and that just attaches to this bowl, coffee grounds, and I can make myself a pour over coffee. I have a small titanium pot, inside a Chuck's cloth, a big mini lighter. I have a folding cup, and then also this counterfeit BRS 3000 stove that I acquired off eBay when I was trying to acquire the real model. Anyway, that's my stove. Lastly, almost lastly, I have a food bag. This is just a regular, it's a shopping tote bag. Somebody at work was throwing it out and I said, no thank you, I'll keep that. It is a very lightweight fabric, but yeah, that was my food bag for this trip. I also have a small, I think it's a microfiber travel towel. Just for drying off. And then I have what I call the junk drawer. So in here I have some basic items like gear repair tape and some spare 2mm guy line, which is really handy with securing your tent to the tent platforms on the Overland. To that end, I also have some extra line locks just in this bag here. Just those kinds of pretty ones. But also in this bag is actually where I keep my power bank. That is an Anker 10,000 milliamp because I use my phone for photographs, and I also have my navigation apps in there, and I also use it for listening to music and podcasts. I do like to have that extra bit of juice so I can give my phone a charge. I also have an old pair of glasses just in that little cloth bag there. This is where I keep my face mask because we are obviously still living in the time of the pandemic. And I have my head torch there. It's a battery operated head torch. The last thing that I have in here is my toiletry bag. I keep spare contact lenses in there. I do wear contacts. I have the standard cut-off toothbrush and snapped in half comb. I have in a pill container just some toothpaste tablets, which are absolutely great for a finite trip like this. You can just count out as many as you need and take those with you. I have a small travel container of natural deodorant paste. I have a rollerball applicator of an essential oil blend. And then I have these repurposed eyedropper bottles. That one just has some super concentrated soap in it. That is more than enough for a week. I think I could probably get a month out of that, to be honest. And then in this other one, I actually have some unscented household bleach. This is what I used for water treatment on this overland trip. I think I treated my water maybe twice on this trip. It's cheap, it's light, it's simple. It is absolutely a thing that you can do for water treatment. Lastly, the big stuff. I have a full-length sleeping mat with a pretty high R value on it, just because tenting on the platforms, cold air can come up from underneath, so you really do want a good insulated pad. And that is an inflatable air pad, so it does come with this pump sack for basically using as an air pump. And this is where I keep my sleeping bag and all of the things that I want around camp. I have this Enlightened equipment 10-degree Fahrenheit quilt. It was absolutely overkill on this trip. We had unusually mild temperatures, but better safe than sorry, I think. I used just a silk liner just to help keep my sleeping bag a little bit cleaner. And I also had this little inflatable pillow. Down in the foot box as well, this is where I keep my spare clothes. So I've got my down puffy jacket. Got extra merino thermal layers, and these also doubled as my pajamas, so that's just a pair of leggings. That's a t-shirt. I do have camp socks in here. So just a pair of these are actually possum fur socks that I only just wear for around camp. And then the spare clothes for walking, so I just got one extra pair of walking socks, one extra pair of gruts, and that's kind of it. So all of that fitted really well inside my backpack. Really happy with it, and feel like everything's actually really well dialed in. So anyway, hopefully if you've had a watch through this today, maybe some ideas to go on with. I will drop my lighter pack list in the comments, so if you want to have a slower read through of absolutely everything that I took on this trip, that is available for you. And thank you very much for watching.